All right. We are here. This is it. We are present. We are the Steam gentlemen. I'm about to do the roll call, but first, I just wanted to address a couple of things about the podcast, since the notes, some of the preview of our upcoming biography is coming out, and I, in fact, can confirm, don't make me look bad, guys, that none of us have shot a dog in the face. I think we're good on that front, right? Nobody. Can I check in? All right, I'm getting the thumbs up from RaShaun here. That was good. Yeah, I'm getting yeah, it is in fact that yeah. Greg, how you doing? Are you good on the dog front?
I have never shot a dog in the face. In my more edgelord days, I did wonder why don't we just eat dog? Um, but I'm good with chicken. Yeah,
Okay.
don't shoot dogs. Don't shoot
All
You're
dogs.
right.
oddly specific about where you shot a dog.
Well, I mean, I did not shoot a dog in the face though.
You're
Like
not
that's
shooting.
that did not. We 100%. There was no shooting dogs. There were no dogs were shot in the face there. So
Yeah, you can put me in the column of never shot a dog, period.
okay,
And
all right, we're gonna be
check that
thorough
off.
here.
They
We're
do it
gonna be
better. Dick,
No, I
Dick
think
Cheney
that's
shot
being
his boy in the
generalist.
face.
yeah. We're gonna be real clear about what happened here. We're gonna leave
No,
no room.
I'm literally saying the entire entity of a dog. You
Oh
guys
yeah,
just like being very specific, like just the face. Like I don't know. I mean, who knows? I'm just letting you
true.
know. Like you say dog, and my response is never shot. Like you don't have to be specific. So not actually getting
All
into
That's
details.
the fuck.
All right. I just thought that, the specific detail of shooting the dog in the face, it kind of made it all the more so. It's like,
Is there a better place to shoot a dog?
I don't know. I don't know. Can you at least tell it to look at the flowers? Can you, like, can you tell it, I don't know, talk about whatever scene is going on,
Holy
talk about whatever scene is going on in the meantime. So
That can still happen and shoot a dog in the face.
yeah, I suppose, but I mean, think about George was looking away. George was happy. Right?
George was not a dog or
True.
a living thing.
Well, I mean, it was character in a book. So yeah, I'm just saying he was looking away. He was talking about picking the pretty flowers, and bam, right? Didn't see that coming. That's
Oh, damn, that got dark.
couldn't you at least do the same for that? Couldn't you at least do the same for the dog? Well, I mean, in all fairness, he had snapped a girl's neck accidentally too, so we were already in dark territory when we're talking about that novel. But all
Yeah,
right, all
not the
right.
best time in America.
And I'll go on the record and just say, yeah, I can understand why you'd choose the bear. That's the other thing I'll say. I can get it. I understand why. I get the thinking behind it.
We're just going to write down the social media.
Yeah. I mean, it's life in the
New
2020s.
segment, people.
It's life in the 2020s, baby. Like we're all I
Both
don't
40-year-olds speak the hip language.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
we're hip with the kids. No, it was that
Oh,
that comedian. I forget which comedian it was. I saw it, and he talked about, if I had to save my granddad or my phone, it's definitely my phone, right? Because I don't check on my granddad every 30 seconds. So that just seems to that seems to sum it all up right there. But yeah, I mean,
That's fine. I mean, you'd get on your granddad's nerves. I think that's fine.
yeah, all right. But
All right.
still, I mean, look, when it comes to the bear, all I'm saying is I'm really hoping if it's a lottery system that it's not a grizzly or a polar bear, right? Those are definitely not the polar bear. Definitely, really
Well, those
hope
are the biggest, right?
they're the biggest, and they're the ones that actually enjoy it. Like they look at people and they're like, those things taste great. Little crunchy around the edges here, but like the soft middle is just fantastic. It's so good. So like on the level of being a Reese's peanut butter cup on two legs.
I think it's a little closer to the fact that they live in an area that their food scarcity is way higher than any other bear. So they've just learned over time that if it's just about the same sort of height as them, it's probably
Yeah.
going to be a decent meal versus the weeks that they could go without eating.
Right, or eating only seal. I mean, when you really think about it, right? I mean, who wants to eat
Yeah.
one? Who wants to eat one thing all
That's
the
not
time?
all year for polar bears.
True.
Yeah.
But I'm sure after a steady diet, anyway, right? Oh, seal again? Come on, man! I want some of the people. So yeah. All
Look,
right.
I'm not saying hang out with a grizzly bear that has a great food source, but there's been plenty of documented cases and studies that point out that bears, when they have a great food source, kind of don't give a shit about humans. Kind of similar
No,
to a lot of predators.
no, very true.
Including humans.
Yes, there is
Well,
that. Yeah.
I think we have a good thirst for
Man.
killing each other
And then you get
and
those.
liking
Yeah.
it.
But we
You
don't
get
eat each
those.
other.
I'm
Yes, that's what you think.
about to say, talk to Jeff Dahmer about that.
Yeah, I think
that
that's
was
one for every other.
That's
that was
different, though. That was different. Yeah, I mean, because he was in love.
he was in love. Didn't want him to leave. I just didn't want him to leave.
That was different because he was in love.
He was in love.
He
All
was in
right.
love.
Well, speaking of love, it is all love here in the Steam tunnels. It is the Steam Gentleman. I'm Josh, the Birdman. You've heard my compatriots here, but I just want to take this opportunity to reintroduce them. To my left is the esteemed three of clubs, the gentleman himself, RaShaun Smith. How you feeling today?
What do you do? How do you do? Happy to be with all of you. And I'm very festive, preemptive. May the fourth be with you.
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, I do. Yes, I have a Jedi costume. Yeah, we're all good to go. Come on. Don't doubt it. If anyone out there doubted it, that this is clearly their first episode and they don't know who they're dealing with here. So 100% got my Jedi outfit. I do tend to cosplay as Obi-Wan because I have a beard. And I'm just now in that transitional point between Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan and Al Guinness Obi-Wan. That's just where we're at.
Well,
The
hello
costume
there.
goes, hello there. Exactly.
Well, hello there.
It just goes naturally. It's all easy to go, and that's a good part about a good costume. You can get a lot of years out of it when you're cosplaying. Keep the cost down. And I am joined on my right by the equally esteemed Star Child himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Greg DeSense. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm looking forward to today's subject. And hello, listeners. Good to have you back with us.
Oh,
It's been a little bit of time.
It has been.
And we don't want you to think that, there's not love.
No, there's plenty of love. I think the last time we talked, OJ was still alive. So, okay. That happened.
So long ago.
So long ago.
So long ago.
I mean, speaking of the memes, those were coming. It was the stretch. It was the stretch Bronco that doubled as the hearse. That was my favorite. I'm not gonna lie. A laugh escaped my lips at that point. Like, that shit happened. And we always knew that the internet will always provide. It's just
it never lets us down.
No,
it never lets us down.
Of food sources for fodder. Yes, we're there. So yeah, now it has been a while. OJ is I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure there's some other, news that has happened. I mean, I don't want to make it that kind of show. So I hope you, by the way, are excited about this subject, because this is your brainchild. This is your baby. It if speaking of the news, it's feeling a lot like the 60s out there right now. It's kind of I was not born nor alive, nor was anyone on this panel. But we've certainly studied the hell out of the pop culture and the history of the era. Okay, I can start to understand what people were talking about, what things felt like there, because the 80s, everyone just tried to forget about it and just, I don't know, do a lot of retail therapy and a whole hell of a lot of cocaine. So between the two, those, our parents' generation who had lived through it, that seemed to be that was their therapeutic method of dealing with it, was just lots of credit card debt and, cocaine and whatever else they could get their hands on. So
they fell off hard, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really fell off hard. Like the dynamic shift between, JFK 60s and Ronald Reagan's 80s
It's
pretty amazing.
Talk about what do the kids say? RaShaun, you're my expert on Gen Z speak. Is it a vibe shift? Is that what the youngins are saying these days?
If I'm your expert, you are fucked, my man. There's no way around.
Tell me something I don't already know.
This car is clearly off the
Oh,
tracks.
God.
I've had this conversation a few times, and nah, man, y'all ain't taking vibes. Vibes is our words. Our word.
Sure.
You're not taking. You're not taking
All right.
vibes. You're not taking it. You're not taking vibes.
They got vibes, and I'm almost impressed. I'm actually happy. I'm gonna give it to him because rad is back. That's fucking rad is a thing the kids say now. Or I'm like, okay, you resurrected rad.
They can have that, but we're keeping gnarly.
Wouldn't have been my pick, but I'm kind of pleased you found it. It's like that one piece of the wardrobe they found and decided to bring back and to resurrect. But yeah, kind of feeling like the 60s out there. And Greg, you had some strong feelings about the protest and the protest song, and what has become of it, and what you're still feeling about it was really what brought us to that point today. Why don't you tell the people what you were thinking, and then we're gonna have you step up to the plate and take your 10 minutes of fame here.
Well, I mean, I came upon it because, what can't you understand? Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. And it was a kind of thought that I had because I missed it. Yeah, I mean, like I kind of missed it. I have succeeded in my life goal of being that old guy. And I was hanging out with the Gen Zers as I do. And I was just like, I keep in touch with music. Like I'm not going to pretend to be a massive Dua Lipa fan, but I know who she is. So I'm just like, all right, like what, where is it? Like where are the protest songs? Like that. It has been insane over the last 10 years. And I just feel like, I mean, even before that, but the difference is after 9/11, there was a crackdown on protest music. Now there should be, some kind of resurgence now that we're still in one of those wars, going into a pandemic, still doing shady shit in like 3 different continents, and just the state of things and Trump. There needs to be fucking protest songs. Like they should be melting off. There should be an X-Clan every day. But instead, I'm sure there are some out there, and I'm sure that they're as, heartfelt as Sarah McLachlan and Sad Puppies in Cages, but it's not
a protest song.
Right. It's right. Yeah. And it's not like, We Are the World or Self-Destruction. And actually, fun fact, there was a West Coast version of Self-Destruction. So, both coasts were touched. Yeah. Yeah. It was a real thing. Like a song that big, or, Fight the Power. Or even like Bruce Hornsby, The Way It Is, like, a song even that level.
Wait,
where you
put
can
Angel
definitely
in that list?
I put who?
Sarah McLachlan's song. You put
Arms of the Angel
in that list?
Look, man, it worked.
All right.
Okay. Basically, Sarah McLachlan can't open her mouth without making people cry and think about suffering little animals.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes it a protest song, but
I mean,
full circle.
I think so. Hey, you know what? It ain't. It might not be, pumping your fist, but it hits people hard. Okay, I don't know. It might have ruined her career. I'm not sure.
I don't know, but I definitely feel like my allergies.
Sorry, Greg.
When that song comes on.
Say again?
I said sorry. Cut you off, man.
Oh, no worries. I was listening to what Josh said.
Oh, I was saying that my allergies act up whenever I hear that song. Like I just, kind of starts to bug me. Then I gotta
leave her alone. She's from Canada.
Gotta go. You know that, but
I mean, let's be honest. Like, has there been another, what's going on? Has there been another Fight the Power? Has there been another, even a Fuck the Police? Has there been another Fuck the Police? Like you've had Reason. There's been some I Can't Breathe. There's been some shit. Even Prince, he had a song called Baltimore, which was about the, Freddie Gray killing, because, you can't just kill your suspect. Had to say that slow for the kids in the back. And so, just like that level, you know what I mean? From that level artist, and don't get me wrong, like it's really a big thing right now to make really personal songs. Like everybody's getting really personal. a lot of I think much better conversation about mental health, about toxic relationships. I think that's great. But the guy running for president, he wants to murder people. He wants to murder all of the people that ever made him feel bad. That should also get your attention as well, And James Brown, when he said, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud," that was huge. That was a massive message that needed to just be said out loud. You know what I mean? And when you have like a message that level, or Bloody Sunday, Bloody Sunday was heavy. That was a heavy fucking song. I know
you the news today.
It's not the same U2 that they were, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you would think that as they're well, you would think that someone out there could step up into the void, but really, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I honestly asked them. I was like, where is the protest song? And obviously they didn't know any of the fucking songs I was talking about. And I was like, yeah, it was a real thing. Because by protest song, we just mean a song, even if you're going to dare to try to make the world a better place, and good luck to you. Even if you're going to dare to do that, a song like We Are the World, that was heavy. That was heavy. It was. I mean, when that first happened, I was a child. And I needed to know every word because I knew how important this song was, and that was the part of the beauty of it. So I was like, is there anything even close to that? I mean, democracy's fitting to die. We've got basically, saffron Vietnam going on right now. Like, how do we, make sure that people are finding themselves on the right side of this? If you don't see your leaders, and let's be honest, when you're a teenager, your leaders are musicians, like those are your people. Those are the people who are putting down the words that you don't know how to put together, like that's how you feel about it to a certain point. From the looks of things, young people, you've got an opinion about what's going on. The cynical centrism of Gen X just is not doing it for you. As much as, they want to say like, ideally things have changed enough to the point where you can have a different conversation. But no, send in the riot cops, blow up the brown people. We're just sticking with what worked for Nixon. Like that's honestly, or should I say Johnson? We're just sticking with what worked for Johnson, And if this becomes, Biden's Vietnam, I mean, these circumstances are truly unprecedented, especially coming after the pandemic, and especially having to still deal with Donald Trump. You know what? Here's a fun fact. I can go days without seeing Taylor Swift. I adore Taylor Swift. I think she's fantastic, but I can go days without seeing her face. No matter where I go, I can't avoid Donald Trump's face or hearing his name. No matter where I go on, like, what am I on? Like 4 social media platforms, or just turn on the internet. This fucking fungus of a man, there he is again. There he is again, and nothing will get him off of the side of my sink. You know what I mean? Like, he is just this stain of an individual that you just cannot get out, and he's just in your face every day. Like, that is monumental, especially being a young person and being in charge of what is social media and what is popular culture. Aren't you going to do something about this infestation? Don't you want to say something about it? Like, don't you want to spray for it and get it off of your internet? But, these kinds of things are all great subjects for a song. Would it be so much a Pete Seeger or even a Peter Gabriel song? Well, I don't know. I don't know how big it needs to be, but this revolution, it's not being televised. It's not being televised. It's not being televised.
Not being televised.
I contend until it has an anthem. You know what I'm saying? An anthem brings people together. Because my favorite protest song, and I'm a huge Rage Against the Machine fan. I love Marvin Gaye, and of course, I'm going to do anything that has to say with James Brown or Bob Marley. fantastic, no question. But yo, Sam Cooke's A Long Time Coming. That's an anthem. That's an anthem. That's an anthem. No, you don't get to remake it. You don't. Stop. You don't get to remake it. It's in stone. Okay. It is in stone. But for the proper cause only, if it's needed, it's sitting right there. Because they need, until there's an anthem, you need anthem. You need a Fight the Power. You need a We Are the World. You need a Come Together Right Now. Over Me.
Oh, that
that would only make sense for you to end it like that. I'm not even sure if the artists involved with We Are the World felt it was that important. I think half of them were good for the Coke money, and the other half was just getting out there because it was almost impossible to get ahead of some of the artists that were on We Are the World. It made more sense to show up and be, if you were even invited, to just show up to the studio and try to get a bar on a song with Michael Jackson or a couple other people who control the airwaves. I think a lot of what you're saying has to do with a lot of that fact right there. It's when you funnel your media, which whether it's by technology or by choice, then unification tends to happen. It's kind of hard to do that right now when you have multiple streaming platforms of any wide variety that offers any one thing.
I had a question for you, RaShaun, since you were on the We Are the World subject. Does anyone know, and this, Greg, this goes out to you too, who's the nerdy white guy back there? Like, who the hell is that dude?
Sorry, could you be a lot more specific? I mean,
I watched the We Are the World. Greg knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, I looked it up one time. Yeah, people were asking.
Isn't it Dan? Like, it's listed as Dan Aykroyd, I think, but it doesn't look like Dan Aykroyd.
I don't know if it's Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, there's this one nerdy white dude. You got to go back after we're done with this episode, RaShaun, and just watch the We Are the World video. Trust me, you can't miss this guy. You have some of the most amazing artists in the entire world. You had Tina, you had Ray Charles, you had Stevie Wonder, you had Madonna, you had, or no Madonna, sorry, no Madonna in that, but
you might be thinking of Cindy.
Cindy was on all those.
Cyndi Lauper,
yeah, and one just completely random white dude in the back row there.
Huey, I can't sing without the news, Lewis.
Yeah, that's always, always important to know where the talent is. All right, though, RaShaun.
Or even I'd settle for Man in the Mirror. I'll just take that.
Wow. All right.
Who's that protest song for?
Hey, there's nothing more radical than trying to make the world a better place.
That's it. The ultimate revolutionary act. Well, RaShaun, you got a good jump start on it. I'd like to hear your retort to Mr. Starchild, please. Three of clubs, you have the floor.
Why is it just to him? Like, do I have my own segment, or am I just here to debate?
Or as well, or whatever thoughts you like. You have the mic. It's all yours.
Yeah. So, hey, who's this guy?
Hey, we got Greg back on visuals. Yay, we got Greg on the scope.
All right, now I'm distracted. Before, it was just a green neon box that was ping-ponging back and forth with you, which frankly was kind of entertaining. I mean, I grew up with Pong. It wasn't that much different, but now I get this not only melodious but handsome devil with beautiful hair. It's kind of distracting. I would like to actually say I should get some of my minutes back, but I'd be surprised if I hit 10 minutes one way or the other. Anyway, so before I lose the thought of a couple of things, one, I would just, ironically enough, well, a couple of things. One, we started this whole conversation about shooting, dogs only in the face. I would point out again, bad to shoot dogs, period. But I'm joined with some purists. But point being is like, and then we end up moving into
All I'm
aimed
saying is, all
in
I'm
some
saying
sort
is,
of protest song. Yeah, no, that's on. I'm just talking over
that's it.
you. What are you saying?
All I'm saying is just be nice to the dog. Like, don't, like make
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I thought I had it covered with like not shooting it in any area
That
whatsoever.
is
I
So,
nice.
I
Not
agree.
shooting is nice.
I
Yeah.
agree with you
right. All
100%.
right.
I'm just
Well,
saying, should the event then arise
go
from
back
that
to
point?
Canada and ask Sarah. But the point, I'll just move past that point and just go into funny enough. And then weirdly enough, a couple of weeks ago, I just out of nowhere had a Peter Gabriel moment where like a full hour just rocking out with Peter Gabriel. And here we are talking about it. I'm not sure what protest song he had, but hey, the brother can definitely sing, and his songs were awesome growing up too. I mean, him and Phil Collins kind of cornered, give you that nice little weird corner that you needed when you were kind of exhausted with some of the other shit. It was like, all right, I'm tired of this. And there was also a weird study that someone did to point out if you were alive in the 80s, there's like a 1 in 10 chance you heard Phil Collins every hour, which is insane, but also not hard to like to agree with. And actually, I think it extended through the 90s. So shout out to him.
I lived in that world. I was good.
Right, right. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things you just find out about. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. But so oddly enough, I've been toying with the idea of like when were we ironically unified as sort of a topic. And funny enough, we stumbled into it in the sense of like a lot of what we're talking about also has to do with access. If your access is being streamlined into one or two or three funnels, I think what we like and what we don't like is definitely part of the conversation. And what gets elevated to the top of the throng or gets supported by the group or becomes, as we were calling it, an anthem, has a lot more to do with the fact that what are we hearing and when are we hearing it and how many times are we hearing it and what choices do we have to hear something different. When you're streaming everything like that, then it kind of becomes a different conversation. I'm not saying there weren't choices. I'm sure plenty of people there. It's been documented. You just brought up Sam Cooke. Plenty of people were trying to come up with songs specifically about the movement, the civil rights movement, and actually what predated the civil rights movement. There were plenty of songs that rose to a very strong level. So, in fact, there's some choice, but we're fooling ourselves and we're actually demeaning the conversation for going to act like it's the same thing it is now. It is not. It's no different. And part of the reason why I was thinking like when were we ironically unified, even if not necessarily on a rights of life situation, especially for a lot of different things that we can go into about the states of the idea of protest song. Well, then, you can even think about some of the TV shows that we talk about from the past in the 80s, in the 70s, maybe even the 90s to a certain extent. We talk about movies, we talk about music. Well, the common thread with all that and the biggest difference between those generations and this nefarious generation that isn't 30 and above yet is the fact that it was a matter of choice. And any of us acting like that is not part of the conversation. And we're frankly just lying. And we're not actually giving any weight to any side of the conversation or any argument. We're just acting like no different than, a group of people going around trying to make the world do exactly what they want to do just because of a religious document, but also turn around and saying, well, we have to do this because we have to worry about another group's religious document and they'll take over. And it's like, well, that's exactly what the fuck we're doing. Well, it's the same thing. If we want to walk around and tell generations behind us who have different access to different choices what they should be picking, I think we have to be honest about how they're getting it versus how we got it. It's not to demean the intellectual properties that we celebrate or have risen up to said anthem status, not at all. But it also, in some cases, strengthens, and in other cases, gives a realistic shot to it. If you only have 1, 2, 3 channels and you only have certain ways to access it, you kind of took advantage of it when you could. And being that all of us were in that situation, very few people, even the 1%, could escape that sort of access. Then, yeah, it created a lot different and stronger ways, kind of weird, strange, upside down world ways, unification that necessarily isn't there. However, I do want to make a strong point that it's probably going to attack the group, and I'm fine with that because every listener, and that's fine too. And actually, this attacks myself first, so let me put myself in the front of the line. I always grew up wondering what the hell I would do, thinking if I grew up in the time in Germany, not supporting Nazis, but in the time of the Nazis, what the fuck would I do? How would I handle it? I also thought about the same thing with the civil rights movement, a lot of different things where there's atrocities to human beings who are just simply trying to fucking live. And I always wondered what the hell would I do? And apparently, and I'm really upset with myself, I would just work because that's all I've fucking done in the last, ever. We in this generation, if you are 50 and below, you actually do not have a protest song because, in fact, and Greg already brought this up, and I'm sure Josh will too. We didn't have anything to actually be protesting. There are things going on that are fucked up. There are a group of people right now getting bombed out of existence who have been fucking secondhand citizens, or even worse, my entire lifetime and longer. And if you don't believe me, you don't have to. Just read the Water Act and go from there. You have a land that people can't even access their own water, and it just got worse from there. That has been my entire life. And I haven't protested that. I haven't stepped out. I didn't even do the BML marches. I haven't done any protests. So I know, sadly, that I do not have the character to rise up like some of these brave individuals across the globe have been doing for a lot of different things. I would like to remind people, genocide is happening in a lot of different countries, and a lot of people have been protesting and marching on it for a long time, long time. It's just now we're paying attention to a very horrific situation right now that's right in our face and is, in fact, televised. That's why we all know about it. That's why a lot of things are trying to get shut down. That's why a lot of young people are risking it. However, I would challenge all of us to go into a further step and think before we sit here and say what is and is not a protest song. I think we should be joining protests. I think we should be in the group of protests and people are sitting in and hearing what they're talking about and what they're listening to before we say what is in fact and what is not a protest song and what has risen to the level of anthem and what is moving the people. Because frankly, right now, all of us are in the comfort of our own homes.
Well, that is some powerful points right there. That is some powerful points. Just when it came to at least something that I would consider, since you asked about Peter Gabriel, September 77, Port Elizabeth, weather fine. It was business as usual in police room 619. That's about song is about Stephen Biko out of South Africa, who was
that was Biko, yeah.
That was beaten to death by police. And that was his, I think that was like really his, that was what he started on a true protest on. And then I think that was what began his work with Amnesty International, which he still does.
Yep.
So
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's not a protest song. I'm just saying we should not be, I feel, and this is just my opinion, so I'm not trying to tell the other gentlemen on the panel, if anyone's listening, this is another 3-0C moment where he's just trying to tell everyone what the fuck to do. I feel like we just do not have the right to say what is or is not a protest song, so we're not in fact in it. And I said we're in a unique position because we both held on to we didn't grow up in protest, but we all were raised with those protest songs. We're all raised with that sort of information. There's probably going to be, if we in fact live or exist as a country another 100 years, or the society that in fact we have for another 100 years, I'm sure generations 50 years from now will be listening to songs going on now saying it's a protest song. It's just when you're in the middle of those times, in fact, we are, whether we like to admit it or not, then it's easy for us to look back and say this was a protest song, this wasn't, because frankly, all we're doing is regurgitating.
well, all right. I'm gonna jump in on the coattails of that here. Step up on to the plate because again, RaShaun speaking powerfully, making some very powerful points. I'll probably do my typical thing and won't necessarily address them, but I'll do my best. I'll do my level best. But
real best. Fast.
Yeah,
give yourself a little bit more credit because one of my favorite episodes that we've done, even though I don't necessarily love the topic, it's just love some of the points that we made, specifically you two, like normal. Josh, we've already actually done this topic before in a different way because, my man, you educated a lot of people on the Monkees and some of the songs that they were bringing forth that were sneak
Oh, yeah.
protest songs.
Oh yeah. All right. Those yes.
So we've done this before
Yeah.
in a different way, but I'm saying that in the sense of y'all need to give yourselves a lot more credit for bringing the people the knowledge.
I guess
We do what we can.
my retort or my thoughts on the matter, and this is what I thought of it when Greg brought up the subject right away. Well, a couple things I thought of. Greg, you mentioned 9/11 and the crackdown on protest songs, but to me, the first thing I thought of right away was Green Day and Holiday. Right, there was just nothing.
Yeah.
That was pretty to me at the time, and it was one of the only voices that I remember really speaking to it. Right, this is post 9/11, and then really, I guess we go into Iraq in is it 2003 or late 2002. And that song, there's really just no gray area to it, right? To me, it is outright saying we are again on the wrong side of history. We will be on the wrong side of history. And you're all getting hyped up and you're getting sucked up in it. And I fully admit I was guilty of that. So, it was giving me a little preview of my future, right?
Yeah.
It's now, I grant you, it's early 2000s, but is at a time where, as I say, I don't think it was felt really in vogue to be questioning like that, like we should have been. I mean, we really should have been this. We really should have been like, do we really want to do this, guys?
Shout out to the Dixie Chicks.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
right?
one of the Dixie Chicks. Yeah.
Yep.
Which I'm not a fan of, but I applaud their courage.
Yep. Absolutely stood down the barrel, and we've seen, you want to talk cancel culture, that was the originator. Okay, people, that was
it always is.
That was
definitely an early version.
Yeah, the cancel culture. I guess what I would say on the counterculture is I don't feel
that belongs to Two Live Crew.
Yeah, they didn't really. But no one, no one was
belongs to every black artist before the 40s.
Yeah, I have to say, we got that would keep me here the entire rest of the day. The other thought that I did have, though, and I thought a lot about this when you were bringing this subject up, Greg, or when it first hit me, is to me, I've seen one other really good example, in my opinion, of a protest song, but you just might not have been thinking about it that way. But it's what this group of kids really had to protest. Now, I like a good millennial joke as much as the next man. I like teasing the generations. I like teasing the boomers. I like joking about Gen X. I get it. We all have our stereotypes. We all have that baggage that we carry with us and who we are. I think, RaShaun, you put something so into it when you said, here we are. What will we do? And our generation seems to just keep working. Right. So there's a lot to be said for that. Why? Because that's all we've ever been trying. If there's a stereotype that has that more than kernel of truth to it about our generation, is that we tried to just blend in and not be noticed. And we weren't being noticed by our parents anyway, which is the irony of it, right? None of our parents were actually paying attention to us at that point in time. They didn't give a shit. So our response was to try and camouflage and to just try and blend in and just live just under that radar. And I know every day when I'm out in the world, that is exactly how I feel, like to be just noticed enough, but just not just. I feel like my life going into it is that speech that Brad Pitt is giving Matt Damon in Ocean's 11. He's like, be funny, but don't make him laugh. Be memorable enough that he knows who you are, but blend in enough that he forgets about you the second he turns away. Just and the most important thing, and then he walks away right in the middle of it. That's how I feel our generation was. So yeah, I'm not surprised that we certainly let the world down on any type of protest anthem. So that brings me to these younger generations who are trying to push society forward. And actually, they're not just trying to blend in. They are not just trying to slide under the radar. They want to be who they are. And that's been very clear. So I posit to you that the biggest protest anthem of the last bunch of years would be Lady Gaga's "Born This Way," right? Now,
Definitely not.
I'm just saying that for these kids, it was the matter of fact is that's exactly what they wanted to say. And I never thought that that would be a controversial subject, honestly, in the home that I grew up in. That concept of the idea of, of your gender and the idea of who you love, it was just something that was a part of you from the day you were born. And it wasn't, just as much as hair color, skin color, or anything else, that it was just a part of how that was. And even, I think I labored under that illusion even until recently, because one of the few people of this particular mindset that I was, carried on a conversation, I really did, talk to someone. It came out in the course of this conversation that they truly believed that if you're young and if you meet a person who is gay or bisexual or transgender or is a drag queen in the drag queen hours, whatever title that goes under, non-binary, that it would have such a profound influence on said child that would forever alter the course of their life, and that you could in fact sort of teach someone to be a certain way, teach someone to have a certain orientation or to be transgender or not. And I just had not, admittedly, it's the circles we run in. That's, as you say, a lot of our information is funneled. A lot of our entertainment is funneled into very fine streams right now. And so maybe you don't, maybe you live your life in the blessed bubble. I get that. I know that it happens. I tried to step out and push outside of it. I will say I was utterly shocked that I was speaking to someone who had that point of view. So to me, when she records a song like that says it so outright and so much to the fore, that's what these kids were trying to say. That's where these kids were protesting, and it worked so well. Other people on the other side are now speaking out against that and outing themselves as to who they are and what they believe. That it was saying, hey, we are here. We are centered. This is part of who we are. And we don't want to be denied that. We don't want to pretend. We don't want to just fly under the radar like our parents did, which, pointing, as I say, I'm throwing Gen X under the bus. First one to say it. That I salute these kids for a lot of it. They've been told how easy they had it. I get it in some ways. In some ways, they had it easier. Sure. Which, by the way, that's what you're supposed to fucking do. You're supposed to make it easier for the next generation. Why does everyone, wear this like a fucking badge of honor that, you're supposed to make it shittier? Like, that's a sign you're failing. That's the whole point. And that was what we were told the entire time is, oh, by the way, we fucked you over and you're going to do worse. Haha. That was
that's just how trauma works.
If I only
also
hope,
preach,
yeah, that if there's one thing to be said is that enough of us tried to make it better for that generation, so at least their problems were different, and at least the neuroses they came out of were a different one. And something different than we experienced, which is all you're trying to do. You're just trying to fix your parents' mistakes, and yeah, you end up making your own. I truly believe that. But to me, that's the protest song, at least up until now. What will emerge, what comes out of this time, everything you guys have said is very true, and I cracked the joke that it felt like the 60s, but no, it feels like the 60s out there, because that's the only thing in history that I've got to compare to this time, think that, the stakes on the home front weren't quite the same. So let's not forget that. All right. Great.
One, I just want to be clear to like the listeners, like I'm getting this from the Gen Zers, not just talking about my daughter and her friends, but a couple of guys I work with, guys that my wife works with, and our neighbors. Like these are questions that, I want to be, informed about, and they kind of think that's true too. Like I was really, young woman I work with, her mind went straight back to like Sandra Bland and Tamir Rice. And I was like, there should be a song per, You know what I mean? Like they should. A lot of these songs that I brought up, they were like back to back. They were like one on top of the other. Like these weren't, massive spends, and they were talking about important subjects. And I know that's one and two. I know, I accept my place as the washed up radical, but I was in the protests for not just early. We just called it gay rights back then, but the civil rights protests as well, and making sure that gay bars kept their gay nights. And yeah, there was a lot. There were a lot of protests back then, including one to keep these art lofts open. So that's another reason why it's kind of personal for me. Like if I'm going to get back out there, my knees got a couple of good years. I'm just saying.
I mean, for now.
Yeah, look, I wasn't tossing judgment
I need
at
a
anyone.
man in the mirror.
So I wasn't tossing judgment at anyone. I'm just pointing out that it makes a lot more sense if we're gonna lobby. I would point out, like, if we're gonna say we have information on something, it'd probably be stronger if we were there, or at least part of it. What you just said was no different than saying, yeah, I got a couple of black friends. I asked them, so that's totally fine. I mean, you have to, the difference, I take a lot more respect, or I'll give a lot more respect to someone who will go into a community that's predominantly filled with the people they are about to talk down to or talk shit to, and say exactly what they like to say to them, than say, oh, well, I just checked off with a couple of people. I'm using it as a parallel, not to say that's what you're doing in a direct way, but as a parallel.
Thanks.
That is no different than what we're doing right now. And also, what I would point out is, to my first point, let's say there was a Sandra Bland song. How are you going to hear it? How is everyone else going to hear it? We have to have answers for that before we lobby judgment. And I would point out, we don't. There's 3 different major streaming services right now for music that 2 you don't even actually have to pay for. You just have to deal with freaking ads. So you're going to tell me that in 300 million listeners across the country, everyone's just going to stream in on one song? It's not going to happen. It's just not where we are right now. But I would argue, in different campuses, if we're going to be specific about what's going on and why it's kind of like 1960s, because it ain't because people are going through the streets. That's happening, sure, but it's about campuses and National Guard showing up to fucking smack them down, or overly armored police, which, good time to remind people, this country has done way worse plenty of times, and has killed their own vets on the White House lawn. Look it up. It was after World War I. So the point being is, until we're actually in that group, I bet there's a different protest song every single campus that is very unique but powerful to them. There's probably protest songs across different countries that are all linked to this, that are unique and designed for them. It's not the same as when we were growing up, even when we're listening to songs from before or songs that are happening then. We all brought up Rage Against the Machine. They're actually a pretty good example of people kind of just kept giving you protest songs. And frankly, we all just ignored it. I listened to Pearl Jam as much as any other group. Half their songs were protests. They've been about Thailand. Same thing with Beastie Boys for a long ass fucking. Beastie Boys used to sneak protest songs in some of their songs. Like, it's not that we didn't necessarily have it. It was all funneled. So even if you didn't learn about the Beastie Boys from some of their, or Pearl Jam from some of their protest songs of what was happening in Thailand or anywhere else, frankly, because they were about a lot of different things, you still heard them sing like Jeremy, or you heard them singing Alive. And then finally you fucking tunneled in on them. You can't tell me right now that there's no Sandra Bland song right now, because frankly, you're just not attached to every single channel that is going to be available to send those songs out. There's probably a million songs about Sandra Bland. How are you going to get to all of them? It's different. These artists can't have ways to just go directly to people. There's 8 billion people out in the world. It's impossible to think that we're just going to streamline it back to what it was back in even the 90s or early 2000s. Hey, Pandora box is open, my friends. And that part is open. They're gone.
Okay. All right. That may have been the finest dad joke ever cracked on this show. That was some next level. You actually made a Pandora pun about Pandora. Dude, okay, you won
Pandora.
He won. I think he kind of wins. All right, winning points to the episode for you for that one. I think that's
There
kind
you
of
go.
that was the coup de grace. All right, Greg, quick rebuttal, and then we'll get on to selling some t-shirts.
I disagree.
All right.
There you
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, I mean that I don't. Yeah, I don't get that, but I'm gonna think about it.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll think about it.
All right. We solved the world's problem right there. That was it. We just held
Nailed it.
And even a sir, I disagree, and I will think on it.
And I will think on it.
Well, since it's a framing of RaShaun versus the world, like normal, like Josh likes to, on some Django chain shit. Yeah. But I'm gonna toss a little bit.
You and I both were not getting out of this episode unscathed, Greg. We were both.
Well, I'm gonna toss a little bit to you too, and it's very similar to how we look at past media and what I was just talking about, and when I was saying a weird unification, not necessarily a great unification, but a weird unification. Because funny enough, a lot of things that we love and covered back in the day were either from people that were horrible to a lot of different groups of people that weren't, frankly, straight white males, or the songs that got elevated. Look, I love Sunday Bloody Sunday too. I can probably sing most of that song right now just from the heart. I've listened to that song left and right. But it's funny how that protest song is more well known to me than any atrocity that has happened in the continent of Africa currently or in the past. We've talked about different things left and right, but it's funny because some of these protest songs, and maybe this could be a different subject, but I think it bears to be said in this episode, is we need to also understand that some of these songs land differently from people who are trying to support a group of people, or maybe support people that are adjacent to a group of people who will in turn shit on you and act as if the thing you were protesting and help fight for does not extend to you.
I mean, I get that, but I really don't see. I mean, I guess the two big things are, plenty of people. I mean, there are different subjects. There are people who tackle different subjects, especially like Lizzo or even J. Cole. I mean, people have released songs that have been on a subject and they've gotten very popular, even through, as you say, the all of the streaming services only giving you a few out. I mean, they've still gotten popular. They've still gotten common. You would really just be changing the subject. And I mean, a lot of these songs that even we mentioned in this, I mean, yeah, they're 30 years old, guys.
Oh, yeah.
they're 30 years old. Jeremy spoke in class.
Yes, that one.
Right.
Years
so my
ago.
point was that wasn't a protest song. My point is to know more of Pearl Jam's catalog. You didn't have to know their quote unquote protest song because you didn't hear it. What you got was probably Jeremy. And if you like Pearl Jam, you explored the catalog and you probably found the protest songs. If you didn't like Jeremy, like a lot of people, you just fucking ignored it. That's the point. Like, it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, you're never going
song.
to get every single, person on earth to listen to it, but that was still a huge album
totally
when it
demeaning
came
the
out.
point.
I remember picking on the boy.
And it was a controversial song too, because it was
it
was a very controversial song as well. But what I'm saying is, after going to the source and getting multiple opinions, like people would like to see more political active not policies but songs coming from a lot of their icons, and they're just not seeing enough of it today.
I think we would all be hearing something different if we were literally in the sight of a sit-in right now, but we're not. We're just hovering.
You'd still be hearing chants that are from the 70s.
Sure, but we would also hear the answer to your question, which is what is the protest song of the youth? We're not the youth. We're not even fucking with them. You ask like 7 people and that's it. Like, literally, that's what we're going. Hey, I hate to tell you, but you would fucking fail statistics if that's what you're going off of real fast.
Okay.
Like,
can you think of a protest song right now?
No, that's my point. Like, I'm not in it.
because RaShaun hasn't heard of a protest song that it isn't possible that anybody else in the world could have.
Now you're misconstruing my point. I'm not saying there is or isn't a protest song. What I'm pointing out is the three of us won't fucking know it because we're not in a protest.
Oh,
No, I think there's a really good way to know, because if there was a protest song like the protest songs that I was talking about, even if you didn't like "We Are the World," you knew every word. Even if you didn't like
the same thing,
you knew every word. So
if
we're going to bring it to, if you've never heard of, you probably maybe even hate Michael Jackson, but if I was talking about "We Are the World," you would definitely know what that song would.
Because you had 3 radio channels, and all 3 of them were playing it left and right, all through '84 into '86. So that's why.
That actually was played clean into the '90s and 2000s. We're talking about Michael Jackson. Okay. We're talking about Michael Jackson.
I just want to state that I'm glad that we kept, we once again put the British in their place, because they had Feed the World. Yeah, all right, that was cute. That was nice.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
All right, that's all right. But no, British invasion's over, bitches. Go home, okay? Just get the fuck out of here with that shit. Like, we are not messing around with that.
Yeah,
like,
I know, right? And then you had all of the music festivals.
Yes.
That also, that's true. Yeah, I mean, hey, man, I'm just trying to say,
Feed the World.
I
just
could
picked
use.
up on that. Did
I
you
could
not?
use.
That's a Christmas classic, my man. Forget protest. That is for Christmas and Christmas time only. That's more Christmas than you're coming in fucking Bruce. What's his name? Oh man, God rest his soul. He's not even dead. Die Hard.
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis. Yeah, that's more Christmas than that.
Then Die Hard. All right.
They literally ask you multiple times, do they know it's Christmas? I mean, come on.
Do they even know? Do
they even know?
They know it's Christmas time at all.
I protest song
for
Noel.
You know what they were missing? They were missing Patti motherfucking LaBelle, okay? Patti LaBelle was on that shit. All right. That's nobody. There was no British artist at the time who was going to go toe to toe with Patti LaBelle. Queen of Soul, come on, man. Amazing.
Facts.
All right. Well, speaking of other facts, please follow us, if you still will, out there on the Facebook. They're not doing anything political anymore, so you can go and follow the Steam Gentleman podcast, or you can go to Instagram at Do You Even Steam Bro? Don't believe there's a question mark in that. Do you even steam, bro? We are on the Twitter somewhere, the Steam G's. We're out there. I don't know. Find us, tell a friend, all that good stuff. I leave a link to some of the merch that Greg has made for us. So please come on in. You're supporting an independent artist out there every time. That being our very own Greg DeSense. So that's how he's out there, still working for the cause, working for the people. And with that, actually, let's Greg, what you got going on for the weekend?
Oh, damn. I haven't even tried to think that far ahead, but May the 4th and Cinco de Mayo. I could do that, right? Lightsabers and sombreros.
I think we're missing a huge opportunity there. That's for sure. That one,
right?
That one could go right in there. Though
lightsabers and sombreros. On
the fact that as we say, the internet never lets us down. Look up if Mexican Americans celebrated the 4th of July like white people did. So like white people celebrate Cinco de Mayo, They're like, hey, 4th of July,
yeah. I was gonna point out the hardest part with that holiday is it's very misguided on how we approach it and what we do. Like, I'm not telling anyone don't have Mexican food, don't have margaritas, enjoy. Blah, blah, blah. But when you start doing it and then saying it's because you're trying to be like Mexican or blah, 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 plenty of people do, and let's not act like that's not the case. No different, to be fair to my Irish, no different than people like, I'm gonna get drunk because that's what Irish people do. And you'd be very surprised to find out plenty of Irish people fucking hate drinking and American version of St. Patty's. So you're really
Irish people get drunk. And Mexican people get drunk and eat. that's what they do.
And they wear sombreros and they do this. And I'm going to do it too. And I'm just going to be the worst fucking version of that, by the way. Like, you're not even gonna try to be good about it. Like, you're just gonna get fucking rotten drunk, shit in your pants, and fucking walking around with an empty bottle of tequila. Not even good tequila, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Like the shit that's made with water.
The
You know who
the
you
well
are.
liquor. Yeah, the well liquor stuff. So all right.
Sadly,
But
a couple of levels above well if you
all right.
do the right test.
We'll see where it goes.
Some
there.
house of friends you are.
So is RaShaun, I'm guessing no Cinco de Mayo parties for you this weekend. I think after that,
literally just said enjoy some food, enjoy the culture, maybe find out what the actual holiday is. Start there.
That's when it gets weird.
That's when it gets real weird.
Well, it's in fact about war, and it's not independence; it's just war, which is all the same.
Once again, United States. To answer your preemptively answer your question, as Greg said, and as I said a little bit earlier, it's a great geek weekend. I mean, it's May the 4th, have a little Cinco de Mayo on Sunday. Not exactly forgiven for Monday, but hey, we all make choices, and
we all have to live with the consequences of those choices. So that's a fair statement.
Indeed.
I'm with you on that. Well, hello there. Going out and make sure you enjoy your May.
And the other fire I had for you, Birdman, is similar to my feedback to this whole topic is I would maybe see how many other groups of people felt that Born This Way was their anthem, even if they shared similar gender or sexual preferences. I think funneled media, and not in a bad way, has a lot to do with the response and what is coveted. And also, by the way, Taylor Swift's not on, this isn't for you, Taylor Swift's not on freaking trial. So let's start there, or running for president. So there's probably a reason why you're seeing one more than the other. I'm just gonna go out on a limb, but
all right. Yes. No, I think that's a fair estimation of that particular situation. So all right. Yeah, I will be in the Jedi outfit.
She does hate E. Jean Carroll, though, weirdly enough.
All right.
So,
I mean, that is weird. Yeah.
That's bizarre. Okay.
I was kidding. All
right. Oh boy. Yeah.
Vin Diesel told me that joke. Sorry.
Yeah, Jesus, man.
You thought I was done with you, Vin? You thought I was done?
I still handled the Swifties very, very carefully there. You just slapped your hand on that porcupine right there. If we, now of course, then again, that would raise our notoriety. But I'm gonna be I'll be in
my boyfriend broke up at me. Songs thrown at me. No, I'm all right.
Don't fuck with him. I'm just telling you.
If what I did was fucking with him, then
RaShaun's fucking with fire right now. I fucked with the CIA. That's fine.
I had it at CIA, Mexican cartels, and Swifties. Like that's how.
Right? If that's fire, you go ahead and nickname me Backdraft, baby, because I'm about to kick this bitch open like Kurt Russell.
I'm just hope you didn't need those kneecaps. All right. I'll be I'll be coaching a soccer doubleheader, and so let me make sure ask you to send all the good vibes, especially when I have to stick my son in goal sometimes. So hopefully we can make it out of this. I think I always have the vision.
Someone needs to watch Kicking and Screaming again. And
Kicking and Screaming is good. Mm-hmm. Kicking and Screaming, and
I don't think you learned all the lessons. I think you maybe learn not show the library card at Starbucks, but past that, I'm not sure you learned all of them.
You were assuming I learned that lesson. You know how I learned that lesson? There's a Starbucks in my town that still won't serve me. Okay, luckily we have 2 Starbucks, and they don't communicate well enough, and my picture didn't make it over there. Thankfully,
the real reason why Birdman moved.
Yeah, but exactly. Yeah, I had to move closer. To the Starbucks that would let me in. So, yeah, that definitely.
There's nothing wrong with that answer.
All right. Well, until
your
next
own coffee.
This is that's the right answer. Until next time, this is the Birdman telling you to keep your heat up and keep your head of steam on.